السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم ومن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر، آمين يا رب العالمين. ثم أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وما أضلنا إلا المجرمون فما لنا من شافعين ولا صديق حميم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. واللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله. واللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر، آمين يا رب العالمين. I know I can't see everyone here today, but even if you can't see me and I can't see you, first of all, a very near and dear Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. And I want to express how honored I feel to be able to address all of you in this community. This has been a long-standing dream of mine, to be able to visit the Muslim world and to meet with the youth and the communities wherever they may be. And Allah Azza wa Jal has opened these doors in a way that I couldn't have imagined. And so I'm extremely grateful to have the honor of meeting all of you. I don't think I'll be able to get to say salam to each of you individually, inshallah ta'ala, but regardless, know that I'm very grateful for your company tonight. And I start by asking Allah to make this gathering of ours of benefit to us here while we're here, and to accept it as an act of worship towards Him. And also that the barakah and the good, the unexpected good that comes out of this gathering is good for our lives and our children and our futures, inshallah ta'ala. So it's a pretty big subject, friendship. And it's not something that I personally take lightly, because my own life story and my own journey towards Islam actually begins with friendship, at least my serious journey towards Islam. And I want to start today's talk with something personal that you might find easier to relate to, especially the younger audience here. And I want to also highlight the differences between when I was coming up and, in the times that you guys are coming up. A lot of teenagers, I think, are in the audience, college students, people in their 20s. And especially today's talk is addressed towards you guys. I know we have elders in the audience also, and I think they'll find some things of benefit as well. But my primary concern are the young people in the audience today, and the young people that may be listening online. So my elementary education was actually in Saudi, in Riyadh. And I went to a Pakistan embassy school. I think it was called the International School eventually. And it was a schooling much like a lot of the kids here and a lot of the youth here, the kind of schooling they've gone through. It's very typical. And as a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to visit one of the schools today, and I had flashbacks. I thought I was traveling through time. And I almost stood up when I walked into the classroom, because the teacher walks in and you're supposed to stand up and stuff. So it's not something we do in America, but certainly something we do all over everywhere else, right? So it was really cool to be able to go and kind of visit. It really felt like visiting my own childhood. But what I want to highlight is it was a great, great experience to be able to have certain elements in the culture of that education. And those elements were things like a high level of respect for your teacher, and just really genuine friendships that weren't made up of some kind of agenda. And let me just highlight a difference. When we talk about friendships in America, like kids in high school that want to make friends, then it's really about whether they're dressed like you or not. So that the hip-hop kids are kind of in one culture, and the kids that are into heavy metal music are in a different kind of culture, and they hang out by themselves, and everybody's got their clique, right? Everybody's got to fit into some kind of space. And you have to try to fit in with one of them. So it sounds like in America we don't have uniform in schools, but actually we do. It depends on what kind of fashion you're into, or what kind of genre you're into. You're going to fall in that category. I didn't feel that over when I was coming up. You could just playing around and like, hey, you want to play? Yeah, let's play it. It wasn't complicated. You didn't have to become socially acceptable before you became someone's friend. It was simpler. It was simpler. But we're not living in simple times anymore. I mean, I didn't come up in the age of YouTube. I'm actually pretty old. right? So this is a new phenomenon where I didn't come up in the age of Facebook or Twitter. You being exposed to world cultures means that it doesn't matter if you're living in Bahrain or in Saudi or in Malaysia or anywhere else, we are almost becoming very quickly a global culture. You're exposed to things that my children are exposed to, that I'm exposed to. Our exposure is not much different. Maybe the way our environment around us physically looks is different, but the ideas and the temptations and the entertainment even that we are all being bombarded with is almost identical. As a matter of fact, even the local version of entertainment is so much influenced by, dominant media like Hollywood and things like that. So you're going to have we have American Idol, and I heard recently there's Arab Idol, for example, right? So there's this infusion of one kind of culture. And with that comes some very serious challenges. And one of those challenges, in my personal opinion, is genuine friendship. It's very hard to make genuine friends anymore because we're in the age of virtual friends. Like, how many friends do you have on Facebook? As a matter of fact, it's a pretty strong exaggeration to call those friends on Facebook. There's people that just clicked a button. That doesn't make them your friend, Or they put a thumbs up or a thumbs down on one of your comments. That doesn't make them your friend. This is entirely virtual. But for a lot of people, that's all that matters. They can spend their entire day just clicking, waiting for someone to approve their comment so they can feel better about themselves. And finally, once they get an okay, their life is worth living again or something, It's pretty sad, but that's a reality for a lot of people. And there are reasons for that. And one of the reasons for that is that genuine friendships outside of a screen, other than here, friendships outside of here, have become harder to form. They've become harder to make. And especially the friends that we have outside of that, even they are pushing us back towards that virtual world, right? And it's some basic fundamentals that aren't even Islamic values. I'll talk to you about the Quran today and how the Quran talks about friends, but before I do, some basic things. There are this human interaction for you and I to be able to have a 20-minute conversation without picking up our phone and checking an email, or checking an update, or checking somebody's tweet, or sending a tweet. I mean, I've been in lectures where the speaker tweeted while he was speaking, and I got an update, and I was like, "How did you do that? That was awesome!" So we're so connected to our devices, and unfortunately, one of the things that's done is it's made us less connected to each other. We're not able to have real, genuine connections with each other. And so my first advice to all of you is to detox a little bit. These things are really cool, but they've started to own us. We don't really have a life outside of them. You know how people that have asthma, they have to take an inhaler every few minutes? And they have a problem in breathing? It's become like that for phones. You sit somewhere like, I need to, is there Wi-Fi in here? Is there, That's become us. It's pretty sad. SubhanAllah. So in any case, the other thing I wanted to highlight about myself personally is that if it wasn't for friends, if it wasn't for Allah Azza wa Jal putting friends in my path, I don't even know if I would have been Muslim. I don't. Even though I was brought up here with Islamic values. But when I was exposed to and immersed in American culture and in a high school environment, I said astaghfirullah for the first month or 2 months. 6 months in, that was gone. I was completely immersed. It became okay, I mean, some of you have heard my story about this on YouTube and stuff. I'll just give you a glimpse of it again. When I went into high school the first day, guys and girls are sitting together in class, and there's like hand over arm, and you're like, I've never seen it, what is that? And then the way the girls were dressed. And then when you sit inside the class, there's no respect for the teacher. There's a kid sitting with his feet up on the table. The guy next to me is sitting with feet up on the other guy's like chewing gum. Oh, chewing gum is like the death penalty, man. In Islamic environment. You don't mess with the teacher. And if the teacher asks you a question over here, what do? You just sit there and go, yeah, I don't know, I'm not in the mood to answer you right now, Frank. You get up and answer, Assalamu alaikum, sir. And the answer is 364.2 or something. Not in America. You don't even show respect to your teachers. You don't. And when that goes far enough, well, you start losing respect for all elders, including your parents. And when that goes far enough, you have respect for nothing else, including your own life, including yourself. You start losing respect all around. And I'm telling you, had it not been for really cool friends that I found by the mercy of Allah, by the rahmah of Allah, in college, not even in high school, had it not been for awesome friends, I don't know. And looking back, those are not friends that were super knowledgeable. They were not da'is. They were not giving me khutbahs every time I sat down with them. They were not giving me long speeches and advice. They were not, my conversations with them were not filled with ayat and ahadith. It wasn't like that. Not at all, actually. And had they been like that, had they been very preachy and constantly giving me advice, I wouldn't have wanted to be their friend. I would have been like, this guy thinks he's the imam of a masjid or something, and I'm sitting in Jumu'ah every time I meet with him. I don't want to be anywhere near him. I don't need that. I wasn't interested in that. Friends are real friends are people that don't judge you, and they're not there to teach you. They're there to be for you first. They're not there to, make sure you understand something, or make sure you get, you listen to this lecture or watch this video. And that's the first thing I want everybody here to understand. We could have gone two ways in today's conversation. One of the ways is, what kind of friends should you look for? That's one kind of conversation. What kind of friends should you look for? But actually, that to me is also kind of selfish. I really want to talk to you today about what kind of friend should you be. Not about what kind of friends you should have, but what kind of friends you should be. And when you become the right kind of friend, then Allah will put the right kind of people in your path. And really, that's what it is. So the first thing I want to highlight today, inshallah ta'ala, is, especially those of you that are religiously conscious, and the fact that you're in the masjid today and you've come to this program means you have some level of consciousness towards the deen, and you have some concern. And I'm pretty sure you have friends that are pretty far from the deen too. You have friends that aren't interested in praying 5 times a day. They're not interested in listening to Islamic lectures or, seeking knowledge and all of this stuff. That doesn't interest them. Maybe on the 27th of Ramadan, maybe you'll find them in the masjid. If they're in a good mood, maybe an Eid prayer or something. You have those kinds of friends. They exist. Even here, it's a fact, And they're into some really bad things. They have some really bad habits that you know about and you don't tell anybody, but you know at least what they're up to. And that's a reality. But you know what? The first thing I want to tell you is, don't cut yourself off from those friends. Don't give up on them. They're also Muslim. Yes, they're very far. Yes, they're into all kinds of sin. But at the end of the day, they were given the gift of La ilaha illallah, even though they haven't come to appreciate it yet. Somebody was there for me that didn't give up on me. Somebody saw, I used to have a really bad mouth. If I talked like the way I used to, you would have to censor me out. Most of my sentences, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't given a lecture about, hey, watch your mouth, hey, don't. Well, not even that. The guy was patient with me. And slowly he was like, hey, could you cut down on the, my ears are starting to bleed. He'd just bring it up as a joke. And I'd be like, okay, sorry, man, sorry. Yeah, I gotta cut down. So you have to first be there for friends without being judgmental. That's really important. The easiest way to cut friends out of your life is to start acting like you're more righteous than they are, or you're more knowledgeable than they are, or you need to help them and they are in need of your help, like you're in some position of superiority. And this is, by the way, a form of arrogance. And people see right through it. You think you're serving deen or doing amr bil ma'roof and nahi anil munkar, or you're doing da'wah fi sabilillah. You're not. That's not da'wah. That's just you acting like you are there to save someone else. That's not how friendship works. You have to just be good company first. Be there for someone first. And Allah, when you do that for people, then Allah softens people's heart. So when the time is right, you can slip in some good advice. When the time is right, you can say, hey, you want to go grab some ice cream? Let's go. Hey, on the way, can we stop by for Maghrib? I gotta pray. You could do that. But you have to be a little more strategic than just blatantly and constantly trying to, hey, have you watched the video I emailed you? Did you watch the whole thing? Don't do that. Just because you're interested doesn't mean your friend is. It's not the same. Now, is this a small subject in Allah's book? The second thing I want to talk to you about is actually that friendship is a pretty big deal in the Quran. I was actually myself shocked at how big a deal it is in the Quran, how huge a subject it is. There are at least 10 words in the Quran used for different kinds of friends. 10 different terms. And each of them talked about it extensively. Each of them has its own, nuances and how Allah brings it up in different ayat. So one of the things I want to do with you tonight, inshallah, is kind of walk you through some of those terms and how Allah uses them in the Quran, at least 1 or 2 ayat for each. What does Allah have to say about these kinds of friends? And the first of them is Wali. Item number 1. How many friends did I say? How many kinds of friends? Who remembers? 10. Good. Call it out. Be loud. It's okay. I know you're not used to that, but I'm from America. So it's alright. I need to know that you're alive and awake and not on Facebook. So the way I know that is if you're loud when I ask you a question. So don't feel like, astaghfirullah min al-masjid, they cannot answer any questions. And just do istighfar if I ask you a question, sit there, look down ashamed. No, don't do that. Just call it out. And you don't have to raise your hand. You can just call it out. Okay? Now, the first kind of friend was what again? That's how loud you guys get? Really? Guys, I heard sisters, I didn't hear any brothers. What was the first kind of friend? Wali. Wali in the Arabic language is argued to be from mu'alat, which is a kind of protection. Someone who takes care of your matters. A friend that is there to, in some sense, when trouble comes, they can guard you. They can handle your situation. So a strong friend also you could call a wali. And of course, wali has other implications, like in marriage you have to have a wali, it's a different terminology. Allah Azza wa Jal, one of His names is wali. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu. Allah is the wali of those who believe. He's a protective friend to those who believe. But one ayah that I want to highlight about the word wali is about when exactly the first theme I talked to you about, when you're trying to convey the message of Islam to somebody. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Even if between you and somebody else there's animosity, you're talking to them and they're talking back to you with the most aggressive language. When I give this same dars in America, I talk about, well, if you're talking to a non-Muslim about Islam and they get aggressive, they start insulting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or they start making fun of the Quran. It happens. It happens when you're just talking to people and, about Islam, and even if they find out you're Muslim, some of them are really, the poison that they have been fed is so much that it just comes out in natural conversation for them. Right? And what are you supposed to do at that point? Anybody here know Brother Eddie from the Deen Show? Have you ever seen that before? The Deen Show, this brother is an incredible human being. This guy's like a da'wah machine. He's constantly thinking about how do I tell somebody about Islam. So when I've only gone to Chicago twice to meet him. All the recordings that I've done with him are like in 1 day or 2 days. We just sit an entire day and do recordings. And he makes me change my jacket so it feels like it was a different visit. So when we went to one of the public TV studios, we went into a TV studio to do a recording. And the cameraman was actually a very hardcore evangelical Christian. And it was one of those evangelical Christians who has attended a few sermons about how to develop answers for Muslims and accusations against Muslims. So this old gentleman, he's 70, 75 years old. We're done with the recording, he calls Brother Eddie and me over and he starts saying the most horrible things about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Terrible, terrible things. And now what are you going to hear things like that and be like, what'd you say? And if we do that, if we get aggressive towards him and start making fun of the Bible, or start saying, well, what do you know anyway? You people are this way or that way, and you kuffar, you etc. You know what? If that happens, then we've played into the hands of shaitan. That's what we've done. Let him say the most horrendous, horrible things, and at the end of it all, you're like, you know what? Literally, we say, you want to go grab some coffee? You want to go grab some coffee and get some donuts? I heard there's a good donut shop around the corner. But your prophet this and your prophet that. I was like, hey, yeah. But I like you. Let's talk. I want to hear more from you. Tell me more. Instead of responding to him, you have to disarm people first. Allah says in Quran, even if somebody comes to you as an enemy, act like he's looking out for you. You have that kind of confidence in them. And Hameem comes from himma, which is like a fever. It's a fever, literally a fever, like extreme heat, And it describes the intimacy of friendship. When you're that close with someone, there's a heat in your friendship. There's an intimacy in your friendship. I'm not talking about it in the romantic sense. I'm talking about it in the sense of you feeling so strongly towards someone, it heats you up. That's the idea in the Arabic literary sense. You know, this is the idea of Hameem. And Hameem, by the way, is one of the other words for friend. A friend that when you're with them, you feel warm inside. You feel comfortable. That's called a Hameem. And you have to be like that towards someone who's aggressive towards you. Can you imagine? Before we move on from this one thing, I want to highlight, this is how you should be towards your cousin, your brother, your uncle. Because your family is the meanest to you. And they can be, and you can't get rid of them either. You know? So they'll say the most horrible things to you, and they will say them over and over again. And you know what? You can't say, like we used to do back in the day, kuti. No longer your friend. You can't do kuti with your cousin. It's not possible. You know, they're still your cousin. They're still your family. They deserve that you grow a thick skin. They deserve that you learn to take it and not respond in a reactionary way. You know, this is really the beauty of Islam. That we are able to bear with patience around people that are very outrageous, obnoxious. That's the first kind of friend. The second kind of friend is a Sadiq. Oh boy, a Sadiq. Sadiq comes from Sidq. Anybody know what Sidq means? Call it out. Huh? Truthfulness. Truthfulness is Sidq. And a Sadiq is actually a genuine friend. What that means is you're friends with someone for no reason except a genuine intention. In other words, you're not friends with them because being friends with them will make you feel more popular at school. You're not friends with them because, you know, when you're friends with them, then others will think more highly of you. Or they're really rich and you'd like to get a ride home in their car. Or you're not friends with them for an agenda. You're not friends with them because you want to get a job. You know, you're not friends with them because they're really smart at school and you could use the help for homework. You know, not for any of those reasons. When your friendship has no strings attached, it's true and genuine. You are friends with them for who they are. Not the things they own, not the status they have, not the artificial and superficial stuff. But it's a genuine friendship despite all of those things. That is sadaqah, actually. True, genuine friendship. No matter what. And you know what? Whether you have a job or not, whether you're doing good in school or not, whether you're having a good day or a bad day, a Sadiq is a Sadiq. They're going to be there for you. They're going to be there for you. And that's one of the hardest things to have in life, by the way, is a Sadiq. You can have people that you play sports with, it's easy. You guys can have friends that you play PlayStation with or whatever, it's easy. It's not hard. You can have friends out, you know, you guys have some pretty intense sports during your break in school under the hot sun, and you know, the guys playing like volleyball and cricket and all that stuff in the heat. And you can make friends like that. That's easy. You could go have friends and go watch a movie together or whatever you do, you know, or hang out in the mall. You know, that's easy. But having a genuine friend that is there for you, whether you own a car or not, whether you have the money to pay for the food or not, you know. And even a friend that when you are doing well in your deen, they're your friend, and when you start making mistakes, you're still there. They're still there for you. Man, that's a real friend. They don't give up on you because you're not righteous anymore. And that's the kind of friend you have to be. I'm not talking about the friends you should be looking for. Remember that. This is a conversation about what kind of friend should I be and what kind of friend should you be. You know, I have to go out of my way. My high school friends, they're not like me. They're in a different world. You know, we went different ways, and a lot of my high school friends are non-Muslims. But I try to stay in touch with them as best I can, because they're my friends. And we'll come to that later. Can you have friends that are non-Muslims? We'll get to that part. Is that even possible? Yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible. And the ayat that are there, we have to understand them properly. We unnecessarily make the worldview of Islam overly aggressive, overly angry, and we fuse our own frustrations into it, and it just hurts our vision of the deen. It really does. So that's true of non-Muslims. We'll get to that in more detail a little later, but your Muslim friends that have fallen off, that you don't see at the masjid anymore, guys. You come and you don't see them anymore. Call them. Don't say, well, you know, he's got different friends now, he does all kinds of bad things, I should forget it, I don't want to talk to him. Last time I talked to him, he said all this kind of stuff. No, let it go. Don't give up on your friends. And one of the greatest things about friendship is, it's an Arabic wisdom actually. Sadiquka man sadaqak, la man saddaqak, right? Your friend is someone who's true to you, who's honest with you, not just someone who befriends you, not just someone who's friendly with you. In other words, when you're falling off, they're true to you and say, listen, I care about you. I don't want you to do this. I want to help you. And whatever it takes, you are honest with your friends. And sometimes you have friends around you that are all fake. They're all fake. And you do the wrong thing and they encourage you. And they're afraid to say something, because if they say something to you or you say something to them, the friendship might come to an end. So I don't want to say anything because they get really upset. You don't know, my friend, they get really angry, so I can't say anything. Like, that's your friend, man. Look at what he's doing. Look at how he talks to his mother. You should say something. No, bro, you don't know, man. That's how he talks to his mother. You don't know, he gets really angry. He makes the Hulk look calm. I can't talk to him. No, don't do that. On the one hand, don't be judgmental to your friends, and on the other hand, don't be deceivingly just friendly no matter what. You can be friendly and honest at the same time with your friends, and that's a condition of friendship. And this is one of the things that people on Judgment Day that are on the wrong side of Judgment Day, they're heading towards hellfire. They're heading towards Allah's judgment and justice. May Allah not make us from them. Allah says about them in the Quran, وَمَا أَضَلَّنَا إِلَّا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Nobody misguided us except the criminals. So they're saying that it's not our fault we're going to hell. It's not our fault we're in trouble on Judgment Day. It's criminals that misled us. Bad people misled us. Now who are these people? فَمَا لَنَا مِنْ شَافِعِينَ. We got nobody to make a case for us. Now a shafi' is someone who likes you, and when you're getting in trouble, they stand in the way and say, no. He's good, he's okay. Like imagine you're in trouble with the principal and the teacher comes in and says, he's a good student, I'll take care of it. He comes in the way. That's shafa'ah. They say, today nobody's coming to back us up. Nobody's got our back today. And then they say, وَلَا صَدِيقٍ Hameem. Sadiq. This is the only time this word is used directly like that in the Quran. They say today, we have no true friends that are close to us, that are showing us love. No loving true friends. SubhanAllah. You know what Allah is saying? The converse is also true. The people on the wrong side of Judgment Day will complain we have no true friends today. And the people on the right side of Judgment Day will actually be on the opposite end. And they will have the shafa'ah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah qualify all of us for them. And they will have genuine friends. They'll have friends that were true to them here and there. And that's the other thing about this. Why do you lose friends? You lose friends sometimes because you're honest. You're truthful. You just say the right thing and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. And you know what? They can distance themselves, but that doesn't mean you give up on them. You come back to them and you still remain truthful. So friendships can be painful in this world. They can be painful in this world, but you still don't give up on them, and then they become eternal friendships in the akhirah. They become gatherings of constant and permanent happiness, subhanAllah. So that's the second. So we've talked about Wali and we've talked about Sadiq. And then on the side I kind of also talked to you about Hameem. And there's Sahib. Sahib. It's a very comprehensive word in the Quran for friend. And Sahib could be used in the most casual sense for people that you are even sitting next to on a train or on a journey. وَصَاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ, for example. The guy sitting next to you, right by your side, you're traveling and you strike a friendship. He's your Sahib for those 5-6 hours on the ride or on the flight. That's your Sahib. Right? So it could be some very casual acquaintance that can be Sahib. But if you spend a lifetime with someone, they're also your Sahib. But there's one thing there's one thing universally in common for a Sahib. And a Sahib is someone who means well for you. They mean well for you. They want something good for you. They're looking out for you. So if there was a problem, they try to help in whatever capacity they can. Now the more they know you, the more they can help. The more genuinely concerned and courteous they're going to be. One of the names of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Quran is وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ بِمَجْنُونَ. They're talking to the Quraysh, your Sahib is not insane at all. Why is he their Sahib? Because he's had suhbah with them. He's spent a lot of time with them. He's been with them and he actually is concerned about them. He cares for them. He's not giving them a message to dominate them. He's giving them a message because it's good for them. Like Nuh alayhi salam, when he was warning his people, he said, Inni lakum nadhirun mubin. I'm giving this, I'm a clear warner for your sake. Lakum there, the taqdeem of it, is for ikhtisas and ihtimam, they say in Nahu in Arabic. The point of that is, I'm especially looking out for you, not for myself. That's why I'm giving you this message. That's a sahib. In the Quran, you've got, the two gardeners in Surah Al-Kahf that have a conversation with each other. إِذْ قَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ وَقَالَ لَهُ صَاحِبُهُ. They talk to each other and they're sahib to each other. That's the physical sense because they're neighbors. They're neighboring each other, And one of them, he thinks he's looking out for his friend, but he's not. He's actually pretty mean. And I just want to highlight that one aspect of the wrong kind of sahib before I move on. How can you think you're doing something nice, but you're mean? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know, alhamdulillah, you guys aren't going to mind my brutal honesty. One of the things that's concerned me as I came here, and every nation has its concerns, every country has its concerns, and we have some universal concerns, but something unique that I found here, that I haven't seen in many other places, and it may be a phenomenon in the entire region, is that you guys are obsessed with over-the-top, super luxurious brands. Over the top. Like I saw a billboard for an Alfa Romeo. Like, or like a Porsche or something, or like a Rolex watch, or like, over the top. Oh my God. Like there's no normal commercials here. Nobody's like giving you a commercial for a toothbrush, or like a sneaker, or like a pair of socks or something. Everybody's like walking through a 7-star hotel and the water fountains on their side and a hawk flies onto their arm and and they check their diamond and my God, and you know what that does to a society? You become obsessed with elite brands. You become obsessed with the brand of watch you're wearing or the brand of shoes, or maybe even the brand of jilbab, I don't know, the brand of hijab, or when you're shopping in the mall, which is supposed to be like a national sport, I think, right? So if you're shopping in the mall, make sure you go to the most expensive store and buy like the smallest thing, but get the biggest bag, so you look like you're worth something. Like flaunting the bag. Like I got an Armani bag, I gotta put in your face before it. You know what this does? This creates an artificial, like fake society. And it creates these standards that nobody can live up to. Nobody actually looks like those commercials, by the way. That's not real. All of that's fake. And people get so deluded by that. And then the people around them get deluded by that. If you're really going to be a sahib in this society, make being normal celebrated. Don't celebrate being over the top and posh and overly, luxurious. Celebrate normalcy. Celebrate being yourself. It's something cool. You don't have to be someone you're not. You don't have to live up to this fake standard of living that really nobody should be, that should be their normal state. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy for you to want that for your life. That's not a goal to live by. And by the way, if that's your goal, like you're always going to be smiling and like checking your brand name watch and then flipping on the giant screen TV and overlooking the balcony of this amazing hotel, and jump into the swimming pool and all of that. If that's the life you're dreaming about, you're going to live a miserable life. Maybe you'll get those things, and people who get those things are still miserable. Some of the richest counties in the United States have the highest suicide rates. They have everything. They have everything, and they have the highest suicide rates. How many like platinum musicians, artists from the United States, Hollywood actors are dying of drug overdoses? They're so depressed with reality that they want to drug themselves up so they don't have to face reality. And they're killing themselves over it. These are not people you want to be like. These are people you want to feel sorry for. You don't want to be like them, It's unfortunate that an entire generation of Muslims all over the world is like going crazy over pathetic, sad cases like Justin Bieber. I feel sorry for the guy, honestly. Honestly, I feel sorry for him. He's a kid. And they've set him up to, they've put this like crazy world around him. And people are like crying and like they're having spiritual experiences when he walks by and stuff. Like, why? Why? This is part of being sahib, being responsible citizens to your people. Setting a standard for what you should live up to. When you start not being so deluded by fashion, deluded by brands, and so deluded by the next material thing. Oh, I only have an iPhone 4, I can't be your friend. You have an iPhone 5. You can't be like that. Don't stand in line like 300 people outside the Apple store when the iPhone 5S comes out. Don't be one of those people. It's okay. You will be able to, I promise you, oxygen will still be available. You'll still be able to breathe and live your life if you're not the first one to have it. You know? And about the people who buy it, guess what? They don't keep it in their pocket. They put it in front of them in the musalla, Allahu Akbar. So the guy next to him, 5S. Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Like, come on. You know? So that's Sahib. That's Sahib. Don't be a show-off. Don't be, and it's talked about in the ayat of Surah Al-Kahf. Today's not a dars on Surah Al-Kahf, or those two people. I think somebody must have put that thing on YouTube. But I talked about the conversation between those two gardeners, and how it's a really insightful conversation about people that are super materialistic and like to make other people feel bad because of the things they own. Like to slip it in, yeah, this is just, it's a cheap bag, it's Gucci, but it's cheap, you know. It was on sale, 800, 1,000, you know. It's not a healthy way to live. And it's not something you want other people to feel. And it actually shows that you're not a concerned person for the rest of society. The next term, so we have Wali, let's see if you remember any of them. Wali and what else? Sadiq and what else? Hameem, good memory. Hameem and what else? Sahib. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this other term, Waleejah. Occurs once in the Quran. Waleejah. Comes from the verb Waleejah. And Waleejah, yaliju in Arabic means to enter, to penetrate deeply. Like Allah says, يَعْلَمُ مَا يَخْرُجُ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ وَمَا يَلِجُ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَا يَلِجُ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَمَا يَخْرُجُ مِنْهَا, right? He knows what goes into the earth and what comes out of it. So Waleejah in Arabic is a friend who is all up in your business. They know all about what's going on in your life. And they're deeply involved in your affairs. Like you can trust them so much that you can share anything with them. And you don't just share with them, they're actually involved. They're involved. Now this is a very special kind of friendship. It's not a typical friendship. It's not someone you're nice to and hang out with and text back and forth, and even they're genuine to you and other things. This is a very close form of friendship and very rare to find nowadays. This is someone you can trust with your bank account. This is someone you can trust with your house. This is someone you can trust in any matter, and they can, like when you say, hey, I'm giving you my checkbook, because I'm traveling for a month or I'm going for Hajj or something like that, please write these checks out for my bills or whatever, and you don't have to think twice about it. You would not worry about it. That kind of friendship is extremely rare today. It's extremely rare. And what's interesting in the Quran is that Allah Azza wa Jal made it a condition. He made it a condition that you can only have this kind of friend with a fellow believer. So Allah Azza wa Jal says, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تُتْرَكُوا. Have you assumed that you're going to be left alone? That you think you're not going to go through any tests? وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنْكُمْ. You're coming. You sure? Okay, I got distracted. Okay. وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنْكُمْ. Allah hasn't yet discovered who among you really struggles. وَلَمْ يَتَّخِذْ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَلَا رَسُولِهِ وَلَا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلِيجًا. And He did not take anybody as a waleejah. Waleejah, again, someone who's really deeply involved in every one of your matters. He didn't take anyone other than Allah and His Messenger and believers to go deep into their matters. Now what does that mean for us? What that means is Allah should be involved in every matter of my life. He's a waleej to me. Allah is calling Himself that in this ayah. You and I will go through trials and Allah will test to see how deeply is Allah involved in your most important personal matters. What is His role in your family decisions? What is His role in the kind of financial decisions you make, the kind of business decisions you make, the kind of career and education decisions you make? What is His role? Is He a waleej to you? You trust, you have that kind of friendship with Allah or not? Then He added the Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, subhanallah. How much do we consult the legacy of our Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the most personal matters of our life? When you and I are having trouble in marriage, how much do we consult the Prophet ﷺ and his example? When you and I are having trouble with friends, how much do we consult the advice of Rasulullah ﷺ? How deeply involved is he in our most intimate matters? You see, when we talk about the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ nowadays, we celebrate and we emphasize the most outwardly aspect of the sunnah. So sunnah prayers before the fard prayer, the sunnah of keeping a beard, the sunnah of being the first to say salam, the sunnah of these mannerisms and these etiquette that we learn from our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But these are in many aspects, they're so public and outwardly. But the most intimate matters of yours, the most internal matters, like should I get into this financial transaction? Should I buy these clothes at this price or not? Should I go with my friends and do this thing that they're all doing? Should I just go with them? Have I involved the Messenger in those? Where's the sunnah in that? Even in the way you talk, even in the way you carry yourself. And this is a big problem in the ummah. And I don't judge you. I'm not saying Bahraini people have special problems. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying this is a problem across the ummah. The way we talk to each other is so messed up. There's no sunnah in it. There's no sunnah of the respect for the elder. We're not following that of the Prophet ﷺ in being humble towards others. Allah is telling us in the ayat, you have to be like a Wali, Hameem to an enemy. We can't even be that way with each other. We start beating each other over the head with evidences and daleel when we disagree with each other. Come on. This is unacceptable, So this is Waleejah of the Messenger being a Waleejah. And then finally, other believers being a Waleejah. If you find Allah to be intimately connected in your personal life, and the Messenger to be intimately connected in your personal life, here's the part you need to pay attention to, then Allah will give you the best kinds of believers in your life. He will give you the gift of those kinds of friends that you can trust to the depth of your personal lives. And what a gift that is to have, because trust is one of those things that has gone in the ummah. Trust is, we're not an ummah of trust anymore. We cannot trust our neighbor. We can't trust people that we work with. We can't trust friends. We can only trust them to an extent. It's gone from our life. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is giving the secret to finding those kinds of friends. If you let Allah in and you let the Messenger in sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in your personal life like that, then the next step will be Allah will give you true believers like that. And we pray that Allah gives us those kinds of friends. Then, and this is, by the way, one of those kinds of friendships that only Muslims can be. Remember I told you, can Muslims and non-Muslims be friends? But this is one of the special kinds of friendship that is reserved for believers. That level of friendship. And talking about that is the other one that is only for Muslims, Bitanah. Comes from batan. What does batan mean? Stomach. Bitanah is actually a friend who keeps your secrets. So the other one was more involved in every matter. This one is, keeps your secrets. When you tell them something, hey, listen, something happened today, I'm telling you, don't tell anyone. You ever do that? Don't tell anyone. You know what happened? And you know what your friend does the second they're done. Actually, while they're still on the phone with you, they put you on speaker and they're texting the other one. Don't tell anyone, but you know what? That's not a bitanah. Some of your friends, literally, they have a light stomach. And Urdu they say, na pet ka bada halka hai. Jiska halka pet ho. What does that mean? That means this guy can't keep a secret. He can't keep it to himself. And sometimes you learn that the hard way. Sometimes with friends, you learn the hard way that if you shared something with them and you found out somebody else knows through somebody else knows through somebody else knows, and then it's coming to you, hey, I heard. Like I was a really close friend when we were having our first child. Really, really close friend. I told him, hey, don't tell anyone, but I'm really excited. I gotta tell someone. We're having a baby. He's like, oh my God, yeah, I promise, I won't tell anyone. The next day I go to Jumu'ah. Congratulations! But I go, what just happened? How did that get out? And I'm not even going to go back to my friend, hey, you told my secret? No, it's just that I won't tell him other stuff anymore, right? Learn my lesson. That doesn't mean he's my enemy now, by the way. It's not like when I see him next time I go, I don't want to talk to you. It's not the case. But it's just that kind of relationship is not going to be there. Other aspects of relationship will still be there. Respect and mutual sharing and even enjoying each other's company, that'll still be there. So that's bitanah. Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la tattakhidhu bitanatan min dunikum la ya'lunakum khabalan waddu ma anittum. Don't take secret keepers other than yourselves. Meaning for Muslims, especially, and this is actually in the context of the battle of Uhud also, in the ayat from Surah Al-Imran. And Uhud is a difficult military situation for the Muslims, right? And which other religious communities live in Medina? The Christians live in Medina and the Jews live in Medina. And some of them, we don't know who, but some of them, it's known, are cooperating with the mushrikun. That's the situation. So in that context, Allah said, look, don't tell your secrets to your Jewish and Christian friends, because you don't know who can spy in a state of war. You don't know who can spy on who. Right? So just watch it. Just be careful. Because a lot of them, لَا يَأْلُونَكُمْ خَبَالًا وَدُّوا مَا عَنِتُّمْ. They're not going to leave any stone unturned, and they want the things that will harm you. And Allah is not talking about all of them, He's talking about the ones that have that propensity. They have that potential to harm you like that. So, just be on the careful side. Just be on the careful side in that context. Now, to me personally, Allahu Ta'ala A'lam, what I find the most convincing in these ayat is if you look at context first. In the context, what we're finding is a state of war and a tense situation where there's a lot of intelligence leaking can cause lives, right? So you might think you just casually talked about, yeah, we met the Prophet today, at this one's house. It's like not a big deal. But you know what? It might be a big deal for someone trying to assassinate the messenger, or trying to attack the Muslims, or something like that, right? So it could be casual to you and a big deal to somebody else. And it may even be that the non-Muslim you share the secret with doesn't intend you harm, but through him somebody finds out who does intend you harm. So it can perpetuate like that, right? So keep your close secrets to the closest among you. That's the idea. لَا يَأْلُونَكُمْ خَبَالًا. And some of our ulama even talked about don't, even among Muslims, generally among Muslims, don't share all of your secrets. And since I'm on this subject, just a side advice to all of you, those of you that are married especially, don't talk about your marriage problems to just anybody. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't like email 10 shuyukh your marriage problems. It's wrong. It's not right of you to do that. Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahunna. You may be frustrated with your husband or your wife and you want to resolve the situation. The best thing to do is find someone personally that you can trust, a leader in the community, an imam, a scholar, somebody else, a counselor even, and talk to them privately about it and make sure they're going to keep it confidential and deal with it that way. Don't like Facebook your problems and don't post your problems publicly. It's not right to do that. And the only people who will be harmed by that is yourself. People will have no respect for you because these are very private things. And sometimes these things when you share with others, people will say, what kind of husband is this? He's talking about his wife like that. What kind of wife is this talking about her husband like that? And you think people are going to sympathize with you, but people are also going to say, how can you talk like this? And there's always the other side, right? There's always the other side. So I can understand that some of you are in very difficult family situations and friendship situations, and you need to talk to somebody, but don't make a public spectacle out of it, inshallah ta'ala. So that's Bitanah. Now the bad side, two bad kinds of friends I want to talk to you about, that are also mentioned in the Quran. The first of them is Khadhool. Khadhool by definition, khadala in Arabic, is from close to the meaning of khada'a, deception. Khadhool is a friend who only acts like your friend until the moment of truth, and then you see their true colors. So they were with you, they were just like you, and they were alongside you when times were convenient. And then when times became tough, all of a sudden they disappear on you. And you were relying on them to be there for you, but they're nowhere to be found. This kind of thing is called Khadhool. And this is a sirat al-mubalagha. It's extremely deceptive, an extremely disappointing friend who leaves you hanging at the worst possible time. And this is the description in the Quran of shaitan. وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِلْإِنسَانِ خَذُولًا. Shaitan has been a khadhool to the human being. Why is Allah saying that? Because man, he's going to act like your friend in this life. He's going to make you get into things and he'll convince you it's for your own good and it's for your own entertainment. He will make you watch movies and watch filth. He will make you buy stuff. He will make you go places. He will make you say things. He will make you build the wrong kinds of friendship, all of it. And you'll think, man, life is good. I'm living it up. This is all Khadn. Because when you get to Judgment Day, he's nowhere to be found. Where is he? I thought he's going to help me out here. I listen to him so much. The Judgment Day comes and he goes, look, hey. I'm not an authority over you and you're not an authority over me. Let's just enjoy the barbecue together. That's what he's going to say on Judgment Day. So this is Khadhool. And this is something, you have to ask yourself, are you that kind of person? Are you the kind of friend who you're with your friends and when they need you, you just kind of conveniently send them the voicemail. Oh, you called? Oh, I didn't even know. Yeah, you knew. You knew, but you just, you're like khadhooling it right now. That's what you're doing. Don't be that kind of friend. Don't be that kind of person. If you're going to be friends with someone, be a reliable person. Reliability is an important quality in friendship. And having reliability is one of the easiest ways to lose friends. You know, some people, you're lucky to have them as friends. You're really fortunate to have certain friends. You don't want to mess that up because of your irresponsibility. Because you weren't, doing your part, subhanAllah. Now the one that's tough to talk about. Khadn. Khadn is actually a friend that you are attracted to, boyfriend, girlfriend. That's Khadn. A friend that you have the possibility of being attracted to. The thought might have crossed your mind. Now you cannot prove for somebody that the thought has crossed their mind. But we're just friends on Facebook. We just talk sometimes. He's just doing da'wah to me. I've heard all of it. I'm from the US. And it's not like it ain't happening here. I'm not blind. Okay? I'm really happy to be in a Muslim country, but I'm not blind. This stuff is going on. And you know what? Allah Azza wa Jal talks about this in the Quran directly. It's pretty cool that He does. Like you would think Quran really talks about really sacred things. And it doesn't talk about, like boyfriends and girlfriends, but it does. It does. When the ayat of marriage come up, Allah Azza wa Jal says, muhsanatin ghayra musafihatin wala muttakhidati akhdan. That when the women that should be qualified to get married, the kind of women men should try to marry are women that are muhsanat. You're bringing them into the protection of your family. You want to start a family with them. That's the first thing you look for in a girl when you want to get married. Is this the girl I want to have a family with? Would she be a good mother? Is she good to her own mother? Is she a good child herself? Does she have family qualities herself that she would be a good family? If you are rebelling against your parents and he's rebelling against his parents and you want to get married and all of that, well, you know what? It sounds like an Indian movie for a while, but eventually you know what's going to happen. You are going to have the most miserable life because you don't have the fundamental values of what it means to be in a family. What it means to be in a family. What it means to have loyalty to people that have raised you, that have taken care of you. You have this fluffy, stupid idea of what love means. First of all, stop watching Indian movies, for God's sake. Stop. Please. How many times can you watch people running around a tree? Enough. And it's gotten filthier and filthier and filthier. My God. I went to a restaurant not too long ago with my children in Seattle. Halal restaurant. We looked it up and it was a halal restaurant. So we went. And they're just, halal restaurant, for their entertainment, they got like Bollywood on. I literally had to turn my children around and myself turn around and, because it's so filthy. It's so disgusting. Like, how can that play in your homes? How can you have mothers and daughters and sisters and wives in your homes and have that in your home? That's disgusting. Stop it. It's not acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. You're destroying your families by doing this, What you allow to, these are friends you've made, these digital friends you've made, that you're watching all the time, subhanAllah. The harm they have. So, coming back to akhdan though, what does it mean? وَلَا مُتَّخِذَاتِ أَخْدَانٍ. First of all, look for a wife that is going to start a family with you, that will be in the protection of the fort of your home. And then, غَيْرَ مُسَافِحَاتٍ, that you're not just there to get your lust out of the way. You don't just think she's cute and that's it. I want to marry her, she's so beautiful. I can't stop thinking about her. You don't know how many of those emails I get. Oh my God, I have so much fun reading them too. Brother, there's this sister, I was giving her da'wah, I want to marry her. No, you weren't giving her da'wah to Islam, first of all. That's a different kind of da'wah you were doing, my friend. And let's be real. And then you want to marry her. Have you talked to your parents? No. They would kill me. Have you talked to her parents? No, astaghfirullah. I was like, then go to the store and buy yourself a baby bottle and suck on it. You're a baby, you can't talk to your parents, can't talk to her parents, then you're not a man. When you become a man, call me back. Until then, sit in a corner and cry. Come on. These relationships that you think are so awesome. And you know why and I'll fill you in a little. I'll fill you in, especially the teenagers in the audience. and the young people in the audience who kind of just recently kind of shot an email and somebody emailed them back and a little Facebook thing happened, and, you know, a little wink and a little hee there in the playground, even though it's a separate school, but in recess you saw each other like hee and hee, like a little bit of that happened. Let me just fill you in a little. You know, all of this is a product of low self-esteem. You think you're ugly. So if a guy thinks you're cute, you're like, oh, really? I'm beautiful? You know, you have low self-esteem. You think nobody's going to like you, nobody's going to want to marry you, and all of that stuff. And on the other hand, the guy, like, you know, we don't have good friendships and good relationships, so we're looking for something. And most of the guys, I don't have to tell you what's going on in your head. You and I have ijma' on this issue. The things that go on in our head. There's no reason for me to explain all of that to you, you know. But, you know, just because you have raging hormones and you're like daydreaming about girls and things like that, it doesn't mean that you're in love. It just means that you haven't controlled your temptations yet. And you're ruining somebody's life. You're ruining an entire family. You realize what you're doing? And you call it love? You tell me if she was like 50 pounds fatter, you still be in love? Because she's the same person, same ruh inside her jasad, right? If she was a burn victim or something, if her hand burnt off, or her ear was missing, you still be in love? Or you find somebody else to love all of a sudden? And if you can't answer that question honestly, then come on, you're not in love, you're just hormonal. That's all you are, you know? This is what we've done to relationships that are supposed to be beautiful. Marriage is supposed to be a beautiful relationship. It's supposed to be a lifelong relationship. But because you're watching all of these models on TV and stupid, like, you know, women that are just throwing themselves at men and all this stuff, and you've developed this delusional concept of what it means to have love in your life. Delusional concept. Our deen came to free the world from this nonsense. To free it. Because we have a more mature understanding of what it means to have love in your life. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't marry someone you like, you should. You should be attracted to your future spouse. All of those things are fine. But there's a decency that you have to exhibit before that. You know? And if you're okay with talking to a girl like that, you should be okay with somebody talking to your sister. You're okay with that too? Not if you have any ounce of decency left inside you. If you do, then, you know, this is how we have to end these things. And no, if you've been in that kind of relationship, or you're in one of those relationships right now, nobody knows. Only Allah knows and you know. Don't raise your hand, please. Right? But I'm saying, you're like, oh, after today's lecture, I have decided I no longer want to be your friend. You know, don't even write that, because even then you're looking for a response. You're kidding yourself. And then you're checking, did she write back? Yes, we should no longer be friends. And then you'll write back, you're right, we really shouldn't be friends anymore. And then she'll write back, yeah, never again. And then you're still doing it. Just stop, just cut it off. Just cut it off. It's not good for you. And guys, I've done a whole series on shame, so I won't repeat the whole thing because it took hours and hours and hours, but I will tell you this. It's okay to be attracted to a girl. Allah put that in you. You're not evil for finding a girl beautiful. It's not haram for you to feel that way. You have to control it though. You have to control yourself. Our deen teaches us self-control. And if you cannot exhibit self-control in one aspect of your life, you'll lose self-control in other aspects of your life. Same thing for you. Same thing for you. Control yourself. Control your giggle. Control your overly friendly demeanor in certain situations. Don't be oblivious to, don't say we're just friends, or he's like a brother to me. If he ain't your brother, he ain't your brother. That's it. That's it. Either he's your brother, you share a mom, or he's not. And that's the end of it. We're like friends, we're just friends. There's no such thing. Every time I talk about dumb Muslims, I get a list. We're just friends, like that. It's a thing. Okay, moving along. So, we talked about that a little bit, and I will talk to you about the next kind of friend is a Qareen. That's a really cool kind of friend. I've talked about it extensively. I think there's a lecture of mine online on it. So I won't give you a long dars on Qareen, but I do want to tell you one thing about Qareen. Qareen is someone who is an equivalent to you. Actually, Qarn in Arabic is used for a rope. The same rope holding two camels together is Qarn In Lisan al-Arab, Ibn Mandur argues, when two camels are standing together and they're tied by a rope, that rope is called a qareen. So a qareen is someone who's side by side. This one moves, this one's forced to move. They're always moving together. So the friend of yours that you're always hanging out with, you're always on the phone with them, you're always on their Facebook, they're always on your Facebook, they're always tweeting to you, you're tweeting to them, you're calling them, they're calling you, you're going out, you're like, hey, you want to come? They're going out, they call you, hey, you want to come? You're always with them. This is a qareen. And you have a lot in common too. Qareen is someone you have a lot in common with. You can't tie two camels together, one is really short, one is really tall. You gotta have some equivalence. You can't tie two camels together, one is really fast and one is really slow. You understand? So they have to have a lot of, they're very similar to you. You think like one, you like share a brain or something. People see you in a public gathering, they think, hey, are you guys twins? Are you guys brothers? Are you guys sisters? You're like, no, we're just friends. You know? That relationship is a qareen. That's a qareen. Now you can have a good qareen and you can have a really bad qareen too. You can have a bad qareen too. The ayat in the Quran, you know, about Jannah. The guy who made it to Jannah and said, Inni kana li qareen. I used to have a qareen. I used to have a friend in college. I used to have a friend in high school. We always hung out together. We did everything together, man. Everything. You know? I don't see him in Jannah. And then he finds out he's in Jahannam. And then he remembers how their friendship broke off. Because his friends started making fun of the akhirah, started partying, started living the life. And then the qareen said, look, I can be a Sadiq to you. I can be a Sadiq to you. I can be true to you. I can be concerned about you. I can even be a Sahib to you. I can no longer be a qareen for you. I can't be with you in everything. You're going to the party, you're doing drugs, you're drinking alcohol, you're womanizing, you're watching filth on the internet, you're doing all this stuff. I can't be a part of that. But I still care about you. And I'm still going to try to stay in touch. And next time I go eat some pizza, I'll still invite you. Because I'm not giving up on you. But I can't be a qareen anymore. You see the nuances of friendship? Right? So he says, literally, I thank God I didn't stick with you. You know, you almost threw me off the cliff. In kitta la turdeen. You almost threw me off a cliff. If I stuck with you, you would have eventually convinced me to do the kinds of haram and evil things that you do. It would have been inevitable. And what we're learning therefore is the people of Jannah. Listen to this carefully. The people of Jannah were almost people of hellfire. There are some people in Jannah that were almost in hellfire, and the only difference was they gave up certain friends in a certain way. They gave up certain kinds of company. Their sincerity remained, but they said this friendship, this always being together is not worth it with this one person. It's not working. This is not good. It's making me a worse person. And some people will have the maturity and the strength to cut those relations a little bit, not entirely like I keep saying, and some people won't have that strength. And that might be the difference between who's in Jannah and who's in Jahannam. That's pretty serious stuff. That's really serious stuff. So watch out who your constant friends are, who your best friends are, who your friends that you're always talking to are. What are they talking to you about? What are they like? You know, one of the things that we're forced to do in the United States is to give our children freedom, to make whatever choices they will. When they go to school, they'll make all kinds of friends. And the kind of friends I will approve of, and the kinds of friends I won't approve of. It's not up to me who their friends are. I can only try to guide them as only so much, and then they'll have to make their own choices. And it warms my heart when sometimes I hear from my daughter, we're just having a casual conversation, you know who your friends are, and she'll say, yeah, I used to be really good friends with this one. And I can't say the names because I know their names, and now it's going to be on records, I can't say it. I used to be friends, you know, with this one. I'll make up a name. Okay, Kulthum. Okay. I was friends with Kulthum, but you know, this year, I'm not friends with her. We don't talk too much. And I said, why not? Well, she got a little weird. Well, tell me, what's weird? She keeps talking about boys. She keeps doing that. I just find it weird. I was like, yeah, it is weird. And leave it at that. So I want her to be able to have that maturity and that confidence that she can talk to me. If I yell at her, I'll be like, boys, hey, let me call the principal right now. It's not going to work. You know, you can't clamp down on those things. You have to enable children and youth to be able to make mature choices themselves. You know, until we've given them that kind of maturity, then we're going to keep telling them this is haram, this is haram, this is haram. They're still going to keep doing it. Empowering people with choice. So this is a little bit about Qareen.
And now, towards the end, I just have a couple of things left to share with you. And the first of them is the two best kinds of friends mentioned in the Quran. From what I can study, the best kinds of friends you can have, and therefore the best kinds of friends you can be. One of them is Khalil, and the other is Rafiq, in the Quranic sense. These two terms are two of the most beautiful describing friendship in the Quran. So let's start with Khulla. Khulla is used in the Quran, for example, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا لَا بَيْعٌ فِيهِ, ولا خلة ولا شفاعة لا تجزي نفس عن نفس شيئا ولا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة. Fear a day, be cautious of a day where you're not going to be able to, nobody will benefit anybody else, nobody will pay off anybody else's debts. You will not have any sales that day, you will not have any friendship that day. That kind of friendship, khulla. Another word like a dharf that comes from khulla is khilal, when something goes through something. Linguists argue that khulla or a khalil is someone whose friendship penetrates deep into your heart. You have a deep-seated love for a friend that you care about and miss so much when you're not with them. That's a khalil. Like you're always thinking about them. And you wish you were back with them. That kind of friend. And that's again a rare kind of friendship, right? And this is the kind of friendship Allah Azza wa Jal had with Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. He was a khalil to Ibrahim alayhi salam. And then also in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal says, الْأَخِلَّاءُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ. That friends, those kinds of really close friends that had so much love for each other, Judgment Day comes and they are enemies to each other. They are enemies to each other, إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ, except, the only exception is al-muttaqeen. And those of you that are Nahwu students, you have al-akhillau marfu', it's akhillau with a dhamma, and illa al-muttaqeen is mansoob. It's called istithna mufarragh. It's a very strong form of istithna in the Arabic language, exception, meaning the only possible exception to that is people who protected themselves. Meaning protected themselves from making the wrong kinds of friends. Everybody else, you can think you're the best friends, man. This is my ultimate friend. This, how we say in America, this is my dog. You don't probably say that here. It doesn't work. Like, what'd you call me? I'm no longer your friend. But that kind of friend, Judgment Day comes and they're no longer friends. Except people of taqwa. What does that mean? Make your friends based on how conscious of Allah they are. How responsible they are to their deen, to their family, things like that. Last couple of things, inshallah ta'ala. Judgment Day comes around, and Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَيَوْمَ يَعُضُ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِ اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا. The Day of Judgment comes around, and the wrongdoer is like chewing on his hands. He's like biting his hands out of frustration and saying, if only I took up a path alongside the messenger. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What does a path mean? It's a very beautiful illustration in the Arabic language of a lifestyle. If I only had a lifestyle that is alongside, parallel to the lifestyle of the messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And when you go on a path, when you go on a particular path, then you will find particular travelers with you on that path. Every road has different cars, right? You can't have every car on every road. So when you take one road, you only find certain cars on that road. When you're on one flight, you only find certain passengers on a certain flight. When you're on this path, there's only certain kinds of people that want that destination that you'll find. And those are the friends you'll end up making. This is a really powerful lesson in Quran, because the next ayah is about Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. I don't even know if there's another ayah in the Quran that has more hasra in it than this one. Ya waylata, and then waylata, not waylati. Waylata, this is done for exaggerated hasra, it's mubalagha and hasra. And then laytani, on top of that more hasra. And I keep saying the word hasra, it means regret. This ayah of the Quran, possibly the most regret anywhere in the Quran. The ayah filled with the most regret is about what? I wish I didn't take this guy as a friend. Lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. I wish I didn't take. And literally it says, I wish I didn't take so-and-so as a friend. And a khalil, I told you, is someone you have deep-seated love for. And if you have so much love for them, you would know their name, right? You would know their name. But Judgment Day comes and you have so much regret and so much hate, that hate fills your heart so much, you can't even remember their name. They're just a fulan to you. Lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. That's the regret this person has. The wisdom in these ayat, I can't possibly talk about all of the things in the ayat, but just one thing I want to highlight. When you play a certain sport, you will make friends that also play that sport. You're going to go to the playground, you're going to find other people playing that sport, you'll make friends with them. When you play a certain video game, you'll find other people playing the same video game, you'll make friends with them. You understand? We make friends based on proximity, especially around our interests. People that are interested in the same things that we are, we end up making closer and closer friends with, and the bond strengthens, right? You're on the same team every time, you cooperate with each other in and off the playground, and you just kind of develop a bond. That's why teammates are really close friends, right? Or cadets in military school are really close friends, because they do all the exercises together, and they develop a bond together, right? Now this is the kind of friendship that is being described when the man says, Ma'ar Rasul. That if I only took up a path alongside the messenger, if you are really into something for the sake of Allah, you join an organization, you help a project that is trying to do something to help society, that's doing something to help people, that's doing something to teach people deen, some good project. It doesn't necessarily have to be a da'wah project, it could be something that's it's good for the Bahraini people, for example. Or it helps the youth, like, Care One, you're volunteering here. You know what's going to happen? You're going to start making friends that share the same concern. And as you get more involved in those activities, those are some of the closest friendships you have, because those friendships were formed under the shade of Allah. Like you came together because of Allah. You came together because you want to be part of the legacy of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then these friendships are formed. Some of the best friends, like, when I teach in the United States at the DREAM program, the 9-month program, the Arabic program, one of the biggest advantages, more than the Arabic education, the biggest gifts the students leave with is each other. These are people that come from different states, sometimes even different countries, 30 brothers, 30 sisters, and they're spending 9 months together, almost living together. I mean, they see each other more than they see even their families, right? 5-6 hours a day they spend with each other. And by the end of it, every single graduation, there are grown men and women crying their face off, including myself. Because we're going to miss each other so much. Because such a bond is created, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to have friends that you formed because you share a mutual positive activity. You're part of something good, and you share an activity together. So that's some things about Khalil. And finally, the best. So I know it's been a long time, I know. You guys doing okay? You guys doing okay? Okay. So the last one is Rafiq. First I want to describe what Rafiq means. Rafiq in Arabic, or Rifqa or Rafq in Arabic, also means comfort. And a mirfaqa is actually a pillow on your back. If your back is in pain, you put a small pillow to ease your pain. And also a cushion, those small cushions on a couch? They're also called mirfaq, because you lean on them and you put your pressure on them and they help you relax. A Rafiq is a friend that when you're stressed out, when you're in trouble, when you're having a hard time, going to them is like comfort. They're like a pillow to you can lean on anytime. And by the way, when people are reclining on a pillow, are they sitting formally or informally? Informally, they're relaxed. This is a friend, you don't have to act a certain way in front of them. You don't have to be super formal. You don't have to watch what you say, like super careful. Are they going to take this the wrong way? Are they going to get angry if I say this? You can chill, you can relax with that kind of friend. You can just be yourself. That's a Rafiq. Now, here's the beautiful part of this. If you just met me, right, and we're sitting in a guest room together, you're going to act a little formal. You're going to sit like very civilized and Assalamu alaikum, brother Nouman. Like, I won't do that, but you will, chances are. And I get that sometimes when people get really, really formal around me because they get a little weird around me. I have that effect on people apparently, right? So, can you imagine that one day we're going to be in Jannah by Allah's mercy, and we're sitting like next to Umar radiallahu anhu, and he's like twirling his mustache, like he used to do in dunya, sometimes you should say, right? He's just sitting there. Are you and I going to be nervous? I would think I'd be really nervous sitting around Umar radiallahu anhu, like, Like, you know what happened to me recently? I was in an elevator in Kuala Lumpur. I was in an elevator with Sheikh Aid al-Qarni and I didn't even know. We're going 17 floors up the elevator. And I'm super nervous. This is a sheikh in the elevator. I gotta behave myself. I mean, you can't do too many crazy things in an elevator. I mean, yeah, but you still get nervous, you know? But the idea of, just being super formal around someone because you have a lot of respect for them. We do this in many cultures, we do this with our parents. Right? If your dad walks into the house, we're like, oh, Baba's here. Like you stop breathing properly and you just, that happens. But you know what? Allah Azza wa Jal describes, one of the most beautiful ayat, وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ. This is the part of the ayah that gets highlighted all the time. That those who obey Allah and the Messenger are going to be among those that Allah did special favor on. They will be counted among which category? They will be in the ranks and be able to have company with the prophets, those who confirm the truth in the prophets, ash-shuhada, those who died for the sake of Allah and bore witness to the truth, and good people, as-salihin. These are the four categories, at the bottom of which is the most number, as-salihin, good people, right? Good people. And then at the end of it all says, وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. What an awesome group of friends these people are. And what kind of friends? Friends you're comfortable around. Can you imagine being comfortable around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and not being nervous? Can you imagine being comfortable around like the best of all the prophets? Like you're hanging out with Nuh alayhi salam and you're chilling on your pillow like it's all good. Subhanallah, we can't imagine that. That's beyond our imagination. But Allah is giving us that gift in Jannah. But the beauty of this ayah is that's actually, it didn't restrict the conversation to Jannah. It didn't restrict it to Jannah. That we can have that rifq. And that rafqa also with each other, Muslims with each other in this world. That we find good people that we are comfortable around. That we can be ourselves around. That we don't have to be fake around and wear super brands around and say things that are supposedly there to impress them. And we don't have to impress them with our epic tweets and our ridiculous photos or whatever. We don't have to do that. We can be ourselves with them and they're good people. They're salihin. That's a gift of Allah. The last thing I'm sharing with you this evening. Allah Azza wa Jal talked about this in Surah Al-Ankabut, one of my favorite surahs in the Quran, Surah Al-Ankabut, the 29th surah. The 29th surah is a late Makki surah. A lot of young Sahaba were there in that struggle along the Prophet ﷺ who lost their friends. Parents didn't want to talk to them anymore, friends didn't want to talk to them anymore. They were getting boycotted only because they were Muslim. You know what we're learning from that? And they're the best people. I mean, they're really the best people. And they're boycotted. You know what that means? When you decide to take a turn in your life towards Allah, chances are you will be boycotted by your friends. Chances are you will lose friends along the way. Chances are people are not going to want to hang out with you anymore. You used to hang out with your friends and do all kinds of things with them. Now you say, no, I can't do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to do this. No, I'd rather not watch that. You had a friend, you guys used to talk about girls all the time, but then something came and you made istighfar, then he calls you again. Yo bro, guess what I just saw? Guess who I just talked to? And like, I don't want to talk about that, bro, it's okay. Whoa, what happened? Well, you were okay with that last month? Yeah, that was last month. I'm not like that anymore. Come on, really? And they're trying to reel you back in, right? But then you just stop yourself. You stop yourself and you say, no, I can't do that anymore. So you know what's going to happen? They're going to say, you're no fun anymore. It's no fun hanging out with you anymore. And they'll cut you out. Again, you don't give up on them, but they will. They have no reason to not give up on you. They'll give up on you. And that they can make you really depressed. You can feel like, ever since I started getting more serious about Allah's deen, I started losing friends. And friends are a big part of life. It's a really valuable thing to have in life, right? What are we going to do without our friends? So what does Allah say as a consolation to these Sahaba who are losing friends? Who are even losing family in some cases. Their parents are giving up on them. Like Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala, right? What does Allah say to them? He says, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَنُدْخِلَنَّهُمْ فِي الصَّالِحِينَ. People who have iman, people who do good things, I will absolutely enter them I will inject them, absolutely, no doubt about it, into the company of the righteous. The ayah before I told you, you will be, one of the gifts of Allah is that you will find friends that you are comfortable with that are righteous. But then you say to yourself, well, how am I going to get those friends? And this ayah Allah tells us, look, you lost friends, I see that. You're isolated, you've been boycotted, I see that. You continue to believe in me and do the right thing and you watch. I will put you in the middle of really good people. I will do that for you. لَنُدْخِلَنَّهُمْ فِي الصَّالِحِينَ يَعْنِي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. He will enter you into good people's company here and in the next life. What more can we ask for? And I can tell you, this is an absolute fact. It's an absolute fact. The organization I represent, for example, is not a one-man show. It's not just me. Actually, most of the things that get done in my organization, almost all of the things that get done in Bitanah, get done by someone other than myself. I'm actually the one who does the least amount of work at my organization. Everybody else does the work. But Allah has put people in my path that I couldn't possibly have found them through a job search or through I need some good volunteers and things like that. Allah put them in my path. And they're priceless people to me. They're the most valuable people to me, you know. And some of them are friends, some of them are employees, and even as employees they're friends, and they're the most valuable assets you can imagine. People that are in business can testify. People that are in business know the hardest thing you can find is people you can trust. A business partner you can trust, an employee you can trust, you know? It's the hardest thing to find. And Allah is saying, you just try to do the right thing, and I will give you that. I will give you the ultimate gift of great friends. And that's really what we want. We want the salihin to be our friends, the good people to be our friends, righteous people to be our friends, so that comfort we have with them in this dunya doesn't disappear in the akhirah. You know, al-akhilla, yawma ba'duhum li ba'din adu. Allah already said that. Friends will be enemies on that day. People are going to run from each other on that day, but not these people. Illa al-muttaqeen. Except people of taqwa. So that's really my hope for myself and for all of you. Be on the lookout for good friends, but more than that, you be the good friend yourself. You be a source of good influence. Don't be a consumer, nobody's good friends with me, therefore I'm messed up. Well, why aren't you yourself a source of goodness? Why aren't you leading the way? Why aren't you the first to say, no, I'm not impressed by the hype. You know, I'm going to be who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. I don't have to fake it and try to be someone I'm not. You know? And especially to the girls, I'm telling you, and I'm done with this talk, but the younger girls in the audience and the young sisters that I have, one of the crises that we have in the US, and I think it's all over the world, is self-esteem for Muslim women. Self-esteem for Muslim women. You know, you have non-Muslims that can dress however they want, and we have restrictions on how you can dress. And you feel like, well, I have to look ugly and they get to look so beautiful. And some girls feel that way. And why do I have to wear this thing? You know? Or why am I so short? And why am I so fat? Or why am I so skinny? Or why am I so this? Or why are my eyes so far apart? Why is my nose so big? Why are my teeth not aligned? Why? You're so overly conscious of yourself. Why is there this dot on my cheek over here? If you stretch it so much, you might see it. Oh, it's so ugly. And you're like looking at it for 35 minutes in the mirror. You know, you have to find comfort with yourself. You have to be comfortable with who you are. This is really important, you know. And don't wish for what somebody has. وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَا وَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. So beautiful. Don't wish for what other people have. Oh, I wish I was as tall as this one. I wish I was as wealthy as that one. I wish I had those clothes. I wish I looked like that. I wish. No, actually Allah made you awesome. That's it. It's good enough. And the parents that are in the audience, it is your absolute responsibility, especially to your daughters, to compliment them. It's not wrong of you to tell them they're beautiful. You should tell them they're beautiful. Because if they don't hear that from you, they're going to look to hear that from somebody else. Dummy. Do it yourself. You have to do that. You know? Our girls have low self-esteem because nobody validates them. Nobody tells, especially the fathers, especially, not the mothers. Mothers love anyway. You know? The fathers, you have to go out of your way to compliment your daughters. And stop having the attitude that nothing they do is good enough. Stop talking down to them. It's killing them. It's killing them. In our deen, we always talk about the rights of the parents, and they have rights, but they have responsibilities too. You know, this is why they'll end up in bad kinds of relationships if we don't do that, if we don't take care of this scenario. So these are just a few things I wanted to share with you about friendship. I pray that this discussion was of some benefit to all of you, inshallah ta'ala. I'm first of all really honored to be here, and tomorrow I'm giving you a heads up right now. Tomorrow's talk is going to be a lot different from today's. You know why? Because I'm not going to be sitting at a table. I can't see everyone, so I'm going to be walking around. I prefer doing that because it's scarier for you, because you never know if I'll pick on you and stuff. And it's better, it keeps you awake and afraid, worried for your dignity. So, and I don't mind picking on sisters, I'll pick on you. I'll just, look, no, he would never. Yeah, I would. So, but inshallah ta'ala tomorrow I wanted to especially talk to the young people, and I want the younger people in the front rows tomorrow. Because I want to make eye contact with you and talk to you about responsibility. And it's an important conversation. Being adults, being responsible. That's the conversation inshallah ta'ala tomorrow. I hope I see all of you then. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.